You're watching TYT Network. My name is Tina Dupuy, and this is my buddy Tim Mahalski.
Hey Tina, how you doing?
Good, good. And on the phone with us, we have Dave Saldana, who's the communications director at Free Press, an Emmy Award-winning journalist, and a former journalism professor. Dave, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Tina.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I wanted to have you on because in the wake of this newest James O'Keefe, we'll call it a sting of NPR, exposing someone who is sucking up to money people, being somehow biased to whatever they say. How credible is James O'Keefe as a journalist?
Not very, actually. It's really problematic if you look back at his history. He's most famous for the Acorn videos. I'm sure a lot of your viewers and listeners are familiar with that story. He claimed that he dressed like a pimp and had a colleague dress as a prostitute, and they went to Acorn offices around the country and asked for help in setting up child prostitution. As it happens, that video that landed with an enormous splash in the media and drew a lot of really negative attention to Acorn. It turns out that it was very severely edited. That a lot of the stuff was put people into false and negative context. Investigators in California and Brooklyn looked into it. They found no evidence whatsoever of wrongdoing. In fact, a lot of the people that O'Keefe and his friends contacted at Acorn went on to turn them into the police. But by the time all of that information came out, the damage had already been done. The story had already entered into the conversation that Acorn was helping set up child prostitution rings. And as a result of that, a very important organization for poor people around the country was destroyed. So that's it's really troublesome that O'Keefe is given such deference in the media, we'll call it.
Because he also got into trouble with there was first a rumor that he was trying to wiretap Senator Landry's office, and he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor there. There was another botched attempt to, something that had to do with sex toys and a former CNN anchor. I mean, this guy is, he's, reputable would not be something that would ever be described about him, and to call himself a journalist is a very loose definition of the term. Yes? Yeah.
Well, it's the double-edged sword of American society is that anybody can be a journalist, and that's great. The downside is that anybody can call himself a journalist, and there is no definition of what makes one a journalist. So, they've got First Amendment protections even for doing half-baked, I Love Lucy-style schemes to break into senators' offices and whatnot and claim I'm a journalist. It's troubling. We'll put it that way. But on the other side of it, I don't exactly feel that government or any certifying body should be able to define what a journalist is.
I just like to point out that my pen is journalist. So what I wanted to also talk to you about is now NPR. The House already decided to defund NPR a couple weeks ago. It's now in the Senate. But what is the state of nonprofit journalism and public media in the United States?
Not terribly good, actually, compared to the rest of the industrialized Western world. Excuse me. A report that Free Press helped sponsor and put out found that the U.S. is in fact one of the lowest publicly funded. Has the lowest publicly funded media system in the industrialized Western world. We pay about $4 per capita.
And to be clear, publicly funded doesn't just mean our tax dollars going towards something, it means that they're not making a profit. So they're not trying to get ratings. They're just their goals as media are different than, say, cable television, right?
Right. It's a public service. They're nonprofit. They're not for profit. They're remarkably underfunded generally. And the fact is that that $4 per head around the country actually goes to serve a really important purpose that the American people are very appreciative of. Actually, the studies have shown year after year after year that the American people like to think of public broadcasting and the investment in NPR and PBS as the second most important investment that the government makes in our society. And can you guess what the first one is?
Roads?
Well, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said roads?
National defense.
National defense. Oh, wow.
So
I'm sorry, roads. I was thinking of 12th.
So public broadcasting runs a close second to national defense.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that runs across the political spectrum. A majority of Republicans, or registered Republicans, are glad to have public broadcasting. 8 out of 10 Americans trust public broadcasting, and that is significantly higher than the less than 50% that trust Congress. And to be perfectly honest with you, public broadcasting has been in the crosshairs of a certain portion of the conservative movement for a very long time, since its inception in the late 60s. If you and your viewers want to spend an interesting time, watch Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, testifying in Congress about the importance of public media. I believe that was in the mid-'80s in the Reagan era. But it's we don't have a Mr. Rogers right now who can go and sit in front of the halls of Congress and say, "Come on, be a good neighbor." So instead, what we're relying on is the millions of people, and it's literally millions of people who have signed petitions and called their representatives in the House and the Senate to say, don't let this vital, important public resource be destroyed in a political game. And that's essentially what it is at this point. They're zeroing out public broadcasting funding from the federal government isn't going to do much of anything at all to balance the budget. I mean, there are a lot bigger fish to fry, but it's a constant target because of its supposed liberal bent. And it's just not sensible to think that somehow killing their funding is going to get rid of the liberal media. Well, there's a very strong argument to be made that it's not liberal to begin with. I mean, they've produced Wall Street Week and similar conservative or conservatively derived or directed programming for a very long time, and nobody talks about that. But the occasional frontline program or what have you gets people's hackles up, and suddenly it's liberal media. Well, it's really not the case. But nevertheless, it's a regular target that it's dog whistle politics that a certain part of the conservative community will always be ready to attack public broadcasting. Now, you can get into a debate of whether we should be funding public broadcasting, whether it's important, but survey shows time and time again that a very significant majority of the public wants it, likes it, and wants to see it continue to get funding. Now is absolutely not the time for people who support public broadcasting and NPR and PBS to back away from the political fight. It's time to stand up for public broadcasting for those of us who appreciate the work that they do.
Dave Saldana, Communications Director of the Free Press, thanks for joining us.